Listen to Rock the Walls with Patrick Walford, Saturdays 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern.
You're listening to Rock the Walls here on IW Radio. I'm your host, Patrick Walford. Right now, we're joined by a band. They're currently out on tour with Go Radio and Every Avenue, and they just released their acoustic rendition of When You're Through Thinking Say Yes. We're here with Ryan Mendez of Yellowcard. Ryan, you guys have been out for a couple weeks now with Go Radio and Every Avenue. How's it been so far? These are two newer bands, two bands you guys haven't toured with.
It's been awesome. The guys are great. We get along super well with them. They're all super nice. The response is great. I mean, they both are pretty up and coming with some good hype in the scene right now, and you can tell that there's definitely kids at the show that know their music, and it's cool. I really enjoy having a 3-band bill as opposed to a 4 or even a 5-band bill. It just makes everything kind of a lot smoother and it's kind of more of a compact package, you know. But they're great. We love hanging out with them. Love those guys.
Now, you guys just released the acoustic version of When You're Through Thinking Say Yes, and I mean, this is something you guys kept pretty quiet right up until the day it was released. I mean, when exactly did you guys go into to record this, and how long did it take you guys to record it all out?
The funny thing about this is actually we actually did it in 2 halves. I should say because I pretty much me and Ryan did the whole thing. I basically produced it all and mixed it, and I mean, him and I both produced it. I did all the engineering, mixing, everything. We did five of the songs at the end of last year, right after we were done recording the album, like over Christmas break. And then we did the other 5 right after we got off tour with Good Charlotte this year. We had about a little less than a month off before we went to South America. And so I went to LA and just slaved and crammed and finished recording the other 5 songs. Then I went back to Phoenix and mixed them all at my house. And then, so that was the first 5. The other 5 we had, and then we just combined them, and that was that.
Now, doing something like this for yourself, is it something that's pretty straightforward in the recording process, or is this something that's it takes a bit to make sure that it's enough of a difference from the electric version in terms of the way it sounds?
It's definitely, we definitely spent time on it. In terms of the songs, I saw obviously this happens all the time, but I saw some random kid comment online about how the only disappointment is that it wasn't more different from the regular album, but that's not the point. I mean, the whole point of it is those songs just totally stripped down and simple, and so that's what happened. I mean, there's a couple songs that are a little bit different, but that's kind of like, the idea is really just to take the record and make the entire thing just super stripped down acoustic. And in terms of the recording process, we definitely spend time making sure everything sounds good. But arrangement-wise, I mean, we're not changing the songs. We're not rewriting anything. I mean, these are the songs, you know. So.
And just in terms, I know you guys were talking a bit about possibly even going back into the studio to record a follow-up sometime next year. For you guys really looking forward, I mean, you guys had obviously worked on When You're Through Thinking Say Yes for quite some time before it was released, but for you guys going into this next album, has the writing process even really began for it?
Funny you should ask that, because we're supposed to go in and write and make a record kind of towards the beginning of the year. And no, we haven't really started writing for it. We've been so ridiculously busy this year. The small amount of time off we've had, we did the acoustic record, and I mean, just the record came. We recorded When You're Through Thinking Say Yes a year ago now. I mean, a year ago right now is when we were recording it. So for me personally, it still feels fresh, and so we're gonna go make a record, but I can't lie. Part of me is a little, I don't want to say nervous, but we're not at that point yet where we're like, all right, let's sit down and write. It's like we've just been touring nonstop. We're exhausted. Like the last thing I want to do is like pick up my guitar and write a bunch of songs right now. And there's still plenty of time. I mean, we're gonna have some time to write, obviously, but we said, we're going to be writing on this tour right now. Like we specifically scheduled the shows every night so where we'd have a really long sound check so we could write it at sound check. We haven't done it once on this tour because we're just so exhausted and no one's like motivated yet. It will happen. It's just like, I think it's just going to take being a little closer to when it needs to get done to kind of really kick us into gear, you know? Yeah,
I guess too, this tour is really your first true headlining run. I mean, you guys did the co-headline with Good Charlotte, but this is the first time you guys are even getting to play some of those songs off the album live. So
exactly. I mean, we're playing almost the whole record at this show, and many of the times it's for many of those songs, it's the first time we're playing them, and so then doing that, and then all of a sudden, okay, now we're going to go make a new record. It's like, well, that doesn't make sense, but it's like, that's the climate, the landscape these days. You got to turn stuff around so fast, otherwise people just, they forget and lose interest. So.
Now, when it comes to choosing openers for a tour like this, and anytime you guys go out on a headline tour, is it more you guys kind of taking a look around the scene to see what other bands are up and coming, or is it a lot of it in your booking agency and kind of what they're saying in terms of, these guys are a great up and coming band, then you guys hear them, like them, and say, yeah, we'll definitely take those guys out on tour?
It's kind of both. What you just said, it's kind of our booking agents taking a look around the scene, and you know what I mean, like. It's not really so much us doing that, although a lot of it will come down to our booking agent will be like, hey, we're considering like this band and this band and this band for the tour, pros and cons of each one, and then we'll listen to them and kind of weigh in a little bit. But ultimately, our booking agent and management we trust them to make those decisions for us in terms of knowing which bands are going to do the best, and help the tour the most. And a lot of, if it's bands that we're friends with, we'll be like, absolutely, we'd love to. If it's bands that we don't know, we'll listen to them and be like, oh, they're good. I mean, most of the bands that they being our management booking agent, come to us and say we want them to support you on tour, like most of them are good. I mean, there's no, they're not picking garage bands to come, support us on a tour. So we really put a lot of trust in the team that we have working for us, and for the most part, I mean, they're pretty much always spot on with what they think. So.
Now, when it comes to that and going out on tour, are there any new bands in particular that you've really come across over this past bit that you love to take it on tour and kind of give them a bit more exposure and kind of show them to more people?
Without question, there's two bands. One is a band called Young Guns from the UK. We toured with them and All Time Low in the UK in March, and then we just met up with them and All Time Low again in Australia for the Soundwave Counter Revolution Festival we just did, and they're just the raddest guys and such an amazing band. They just finished a new record. They actually recorded the whole thing in Thailand. It's a really cool story. And they, I'm not sure actually when it's coming out, but we would love at some point to be able to bring them over to the States, because that's one thing that they haven't really broken into yet. I mean, they do well and definitely do well in the UK, do pretty well in Europe, but they haven't had a chance to make it through here. And then the other band is actually a new band from that is Phil, the guitar player from Story of the Year, and Ryan, the other guitar player of Story of the Year. It's their new band. It's called Greek Fire, and they're just absolutely phenomenal. They're already doing pretty well in like St. Louis, Midwest area where those guys are all from. And I'd love to be able to take those guys out at some point. They're kind of new and starting up. They got kind of a built-in fan base with the Story of the Year crowd, obviously, but to bring them out and try to give them a little help would be amazing, because they're phenomenal.
And as far as going in to record your next album for you guys, have you guys decided on a producer really, or are you guys thinking of going back with Neil again?
Yeah, we love Neil. These types of things usually there's a lot of politics in terms of like figuring out who we're going to go with. Budgets and availability, stuff like that. But I mean, we always would love to go to Neil with our first choice. I mean, I think all of us have said in interviews before, like every time we go to make a record, there's always a conversation that goes, I wonder if we should think about someone new, and then that lasts for about 15 seconds, and then we go, no, Neil's the man. So, so that's definitely the plan, is to go back with Neil. So it's worked every time. So in terms of, he just gels so well. He's like a sixth member of the band. We love working with him, and he loves working with us. So no reason to break it if it's or fix it if it's not broken.
Yeah, definitely. I think the team at Hopeless as well would support that decision 100%. They aren't some major label is gonna make you guys go and work with Bob Rock or anything like that for sure.
That would be opposed to working with Bob Rock at some point, just because. But maybe for right now, Neil is great. We love him. We love everything about him.
Speaking of Bob Rock and just on the top, him working with Metallica, have you heard the monstrosity that is the thing that they did with Lou Reed? So
I have one of my good friends, Josh Portman, who actually filled in for Yellowcard and played bass towards the end of 2007 when Pete left the band. Him and I are both like super into metal and stuff like that, and he just sent me a text the other day and he goes, hey, you need to check out this Metallica Lou Reed thing. It's probably the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. I haven't heard it yet, but if he's telling me that, I can't wait to hear it. And it just depresses me, because they used to be like my all-time favorite band, and it's just, I don't know what they're doing,
Yeah, it's
what's so bad about it? I don't know.
It's basically them trying to sing with Lou in there as well and stuff. And people I work with and just other people I'm friends with who are also into metal music, and they're going like, like there's Load and Reload by Metallica, and then there's this, which is on a completely different level. But I mean, I was somebody who's into a lot of different metal music, whether it's Mastodon or Metallica or anybody else. I mean, Death Magnetic I thought was more towards back to a step in the right direction from Saint Anger. But I mean,
I actually liked Death Magnetic.
Yeah, it's the same here.
I liked it. I wasn't expecting to like it, but and I'm not going to go putting it on the same level as their old records, but like, I think to me it was at least the most interesting thing they've done in quite a while. And Load and Reload, like, I didn't really like. For me, it kind of ends at the Black Album. I love the Black Album, and then after that, I just kind of view it as a whole different band. But Death Magnetic was good. I mean, I listened to it a lot, so it surprises me that they would then do this new thing that's just awful, because I thought that was pretty good. So
yeah, definitely. Talking about some metal bands, who are some other metal bands that you're currently listening to or that you're really digging right now?
One of my all-time favorite bands is a band called Soilwork from Sweden. That band is something about them. Just I really first discovered them when the record Natural Born Chaos came out in 2002, and since then they've just become pretty much one of my top few favorite bands of all time. There's something about them that just really resonates with me. Their sense of melody and heaviness. They're so tasteful with everything at the same time. They never get old. I listen to them all the time. The Children of Bodom from Finland. I love In Flames, The Haunted, like all the Swedish, Finnish, Norwegian stuff is really kind of my favorite stuff. In terms of like, I don't like to say that like I'm not really as into American stuff, but the classic like Pantera and old Metallica and stuff, of course. Newer American bands, Killswitch Engage is like probably my favorite. But I really gravitate towards the like European side of things, those types of bands, and I've listened to them a ton. I mean, that's like, I listen to a lot of that, and I listen to a lot of mainstream girl pop. So two extremes,
Yeah, definitely. I know there was a band that just came over with the band Periphery, Textures from Holland, who apparently is pretty big over there, and they came over here and seemed kind of blending some keyboards into some of the metal that they play and stuff. It's always interesting to see how some of these metal bands come over to North America and kind of what the reaction is. I know getting a chance to see Amon Amarth in August, where literally they go and they play their brand new album from front to back, and they come out and play another 2 hours of just hits and whatever. Just it's so awesome and so crazy to see a band like that. A band that I think they were one of the first metal band, like true metal bands that I listened to at like 13 or 14 years old. So it was definitely cool for me to see a band like that.
That's awesome. We just did a festival in Austria with Opeth. And they were headlining, and there was just a lot of metal kids around, and we were like, oh man, this is going to not be a good thing for us. I don't know what's going to happen today. And No Use for Name was also playing as well. They played right before us, and so we all stood at the side of the stage and watched them, and the crowd was going really, just going crazy, and we're like, oh, maybe this will be okay. And then we played, and it ended up being the best festival show we've ever had. Totally unexpected, because Opeth was the headliner. There was a couple other metal bands too. Everyone out there was just like fully like face painted, like Pantera shirts, like every metal band you could think of, and people were just going nuts, and we're just like, okay, like this is great. We thought we were going to get bottles thrown at us,
And just in terms of some plans coming up, I know you guys are headed over to Europe. Pretty much finish that up with Saves the Day and the Wonder Years, and then you guys are going to get back down to writing and whatnot?
Yeah, after that tour ends in Portugal, actually. On actually the day after Ryan Key's birthday, and that's the last show of the whole year, so it's going to be probably quite a party. And then that's it for the whole year. We're going to go home for Christmas, holidays, etc. And then start writing really probably in January, and that's kind of the next focus, is just writing for the new record.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot for the interview, Ryan. And something I like to do with the band site interviews, I get them to choose a song from their catalog for the readers to check out, and then a song that they want to hear by any other band. So if you want to pick a Yellowcard song and a song by anyone else, go for it.
I would say to check out Hang You Up from the acoustic record. I think it turned out amazing. We had a young lady named Cassidy Pope, the singer for Hey Monday, come and do guest vocals on it, and it turned out amazing. So I'd say check that out. And then songs from another band, I would say check out the band I was referencing before, Phil from Story of the Year's new band called Greek Fire. The first song on an EP they just put out, I believe it's an EP, I think it's 8 songs. I think it's called It Doesn't Matter Anyways. That song